Good evening, Declan.
Hey, Gary.
How you doing, sir? I'm just going to flick you over, sir. Hang on. Ladies and gentlemen, you wouldn't believe it. It's been a year since Declan joined us, because I can remember him taking the mickey out of my Alf hat last year. Declan, it's been a year, fella. How you been keeping?
Happy Christmas, Gary.
Happy Christmas to you too, sir. It's lovely to have you on again, Declan. And
well, it's an absolute delight, Gary, and good to see you, and congratulations on all the great stuff you're doing.
Fantastic. We had two of your favourite friends on last week, in Richard Dunwoody and Graham Bradley, and wow, they took us down memory lane with some wonderful horses. And what we're going to do, what we're going to do with you, Declan, we're going to have a go going through a few horses, fella.
I've been preceded by excellence.
I called them the elves. You're Santa Claus, mate. Right, the first horse you popped over, mate, it was a horse called Prom. Far away, fella.
Yeah. Well, Prom and I made history. I was at school. I was 17 years old. I'd only just turned 17. And my brother Eamon, who was an apprentice jockey of Kevin Prendergast, he invited me to the Curragh to ride the horses at Kevin Prendergast for the summer holidays. Because I got, I think I had 2 months holidays from school, and I went to the Curragh, and Kevin Prendergast said, he said, you should be a jockey. And I said, I've got no interest in being a jockey. And he said, you ride too well not to be a jockey. And I said, I've got no interest in being a jockey. I'm going back to school in September. And then later, a week later, he came up to me and he rode up to me and he said, look, why don't you take out an amateur license? It won't cost you anything. And this conversation happened on a Thursday morning. And I said, Kevin, I've got no interest in riding in any capacity. I said that I enjoy I love horses. I've got no interest in racing horses or things like that. And he completely ignored me and came up to me on the Friday, the day after, and said, you've got an interview with the stewards at Navan on Saturday. I went to Navan Racecourse for an interview with the stewards, which was essentially to get their permission to grant me an amateur license. But I hadn't asked them, he had. And then he said, right, you can have a ride on Monday. And it happened to be the big amateur handicap at the Rose of Tralee Festival in Ireland.
Wow.
The horse I was riding was Prom. Now, I had ridden Prom in work at home. He was a lead horse for his Guineas horse and group horses. He was a lead horse, essentially.
Yeah.
But he was a difficult horse to ride. He was a very keen horse. And I rode him, I got on with him very well, you know, and obviously that's why Kevin ran him in this amateur race. And he was 20-1, and it's a big amateur handicap, and legends of the game at the time were Willie Mullins and Ted Walsh, and these people, they were the big amateurs, like they were big noises. Jimmy Maskell, who was the assistant trainer, that Declan just right, you know, when he was 20-1.
Wow.
And I dropped the horse out in this race, put him asleep. I think it was a mile and a half, and turning into the straight at Tralee, I was still probably near last. And I just saw the furlong fall, and I thought it's time to make a move, and I just left him outside. And I got up and I won, going past the winning post, like he was extending his distance.
Wow.
So I made history by winning on my very first ride.
Fantastic.
And I only rode the horse twice, and I won on him again at Laytown on the beach about a month later, before I went back to school.
Oh wow, unbelievable. Well, this second horse you sent over, mate, I don't know how to pronounce it, to be honest with you. The Hacelian Durus.
the Hacienderos.
Oh, one far out. Is that Spanish?
Well, it's South American.
All right.
Haciendero. This horse was my introduction to British racing, essentially. He was trained by Barney Curley.
Oh, wow.
Barney Curley had just asked me to ride all his horses, and I was still at school at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And he flew me over to ride him at Newbury on Hennessy Day, and he won easy. And
Wow.
Barney said, you hit the front too soon. Like, I hit the front going to the last. He said, you hit the front too soon. You didn't need to win that far. He won 4 lengths.
Oh, wow.
So, to me, at Kempton Park on Boxing Day, this is a big novice hurdle. Like, it's a huge race on Boxing Day. And there was a couple of horses, really well fancied, good horses of Kenny Pittman and somebody else. And anyway, Barney said to me, he said, you don't need to win more than a length. And I, of course, at that time, I'm an amateur, but I'm a guy that's ridden over 300 winners pony racing. I know how to ride a race. And I thought, how dare he ask me just to win by a length? So, the build-up to this race was such that John McCurrick in the betting ring was shouting that the bookmakers are running scared like Christmas turkeys over the money that's flowing on Barney Curley's The Hacienderos.
Right.
Rumour had it that he had £1 million on the horse or something on this day.
Wow.
But anyway, I jumped the second last hurdle, and I still hadn't moved.
Oh, blimey.
And I got up and I won ahead.
Oh, well done.
Only because I thought, how dare you, Barney, ask me to only win by a length? I'll challenge you.
He's tested his nerves.
It was a very funny situation because nobody knew of me at that point, obviously.
No.
Lord John Oakley had said on television that I was a grossly overconfident amateur. I nearly got beat, meaning that instead of saying that it was brilliant the way that I rode the horse to win, but he had his thing of perspective.
Yeah.
And Lord John Oakley became a great friend and an amazing man, Lord of mercy on his soul.
Yeah.
But that was amazing. And Barney Curley was interviewed by Bruscott, and Barney said to Bruscott, he said, yeah, that might be the best ride I've ever seen a horse get.
Wow.
Because only Barney knew that he had took the win by a length.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And I dared to win by a head. So that was the sort of the stamp of how I was going to approach race riding. And
wow.
people were going to like it or loathe it.
Yeah.
But fortunately, ended up liking it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there was a good reason to only win by a short distance, because the old handicapper would have had something to say, I should think. Right, the next horse then, King's Mill.
King's Mill was a horse trained by Tommy Stack.
Wow, another big name.
And I was studying to be a lawyer, and Barney Curley had said to Tommy Stack that I'm a very good jockey. That if he wants a good jockey for that horse, I'm a good jockey. So he was running in the Ladbroke Hurdle at Leopardstown. And Tommy Stack gave me instructions to ride the horse. I'd never sat on a horse before. And he was an each-way gamble of this race, and he ended up finishing third in the Ladbroke Hurdle. And I said to Tommy Stack after the race, I said, if I'd ridden a horse, if I was to ride a horse again, he could possibly have finished closer. But I said, he will win the county hurdle at Cheltenham Festival.
Yeah.
In his next run, he ran in the Irish Champion Hurdle.
Wow.
And I said to Tommy Stack, just let me ride him how I think he's best ridden. And he absolutely scooted up. He won easy.
Wow.
He was he was such a horse. He had this effortless stride. He was a magnificent horse, a very big horse, and he was owned by the Horgan family, who owned the Guineas winner, Don't Forget Me, and those horses are with Richard Hammond. They were beautiful people. So it was really great. And unfortunately, in his next run in the Sandyman Aintree hurdle, he fell at the last when coming to win and got destroyed. He got injured.
Oh, sad. Very sad.
Fortunately.
Yeah.
He was a horse. He was a horse that really propelled my career, because just before that, the Jockey Club in England said that I was abusing the amateur status, and they made me turn professional. And I didn't want to be a professional jockey at all.
No.
And that horse, Kingsmill, was my first ride as a professional.
Wow.
And I won the Irish Champion hurdle on him. So that was a good start.
Well, we move on then to Royal Derby.
Well, Royal Derby then would become. He was a great horse trained by Neville Callahan, and I won, I think, when he was a 3-year-old. I won a couple of 3-year-old hurdles on him, like at Plumpton, places like this.
Right.
And he's a very free-running horse, but he had an incredible heart, an incredible energy. He was one of these horses that told you that, you know, he walked with his legs, he galloped with his lungs, he persisted with his heart, but he won with his spirit, character, and sheer determination. No horse I'd ever ridden had such determination as this horse. But he went on to win the Beulah Hurdle at Cheltenham, and then he would become my second winner of the Irish Champion Hurdle in 1993, I think. There's 1 or 3 or something like that.
Wow.
When he won the Irish Champion Hurdle. He was a great little horse. So he was a big favourite of mine, because he did great things for me.
Wonderful. Well, we move on to 2 horses that I used to visit monthly, and one of them is Bradbury Star.
Well, Bradbury Star, when I got offered the job as first jockey to Josh Gifford, that was just at the time when I just turned professional at that time. Jockey. And Josh offered me the job, and I said I'll take it for a year. You know, I'll ride for a year and then give it up. And one of my first big rides for Josh was Bradbury Star. And in that season, I won the Scilly Isles Novice Chase on him at Sandown, and won a couple of nice races on him. And he went to Cheltenham for the Sunline, and I had a fear that he didn't stay. I thought he was maybe a 2 mile 6 horse.
Yeah.
But he ran the most brilliant race to be just beaten by Minnie Homa and Peter Scudamore. And I honestly believe that if any other jockey had ridden Minnie Homa, I would have beaten him. But such was the ride that Peter Scudamore gave Minnie Homa on that day. It was a phenomenal ride. And he beat me half a length or something in the Sunline's Chase. But Bradbury Star would then come on as a second season novice and win the Maxim Gold Cup.
Yeah.
And he was a dual Maxim Gold Cup winner. He was a fantastic racehorse, like a really magnificent horse to ride.
Fantastic. And the second horse from the same yard, Deep Sensation.
Well, Deep Sensation was probably one of the most frustrating horses I've ever ridden in my life. You know, because he was a horse that could have won a group race on the flat. Wow. You know, he was a fast horse. He wanted real good ground. He wanted sun on his back. And he was a horse that needed to be ridden with an awful lot of patience.
Yeah.
You know, you had to get everything right on him. And I fortunately did in the Queen Mother Champion Chase on St. Patrick's Day in 1993. And it was a great, and I got my sort of, I guess, I got my revenge on Peter Scudamore. I got up and beat him.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, fantastic horse, Deep Sensation. Yeah, really enjoyed.
I won the Melling Cup chase on him after that, and you know, he was a great racer.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Right, we move on to Fragrant Dawn.
Fragrant Dawn was trained by Martin Pipe, and he was a horse that had been trained by David Ellsworth. And David Ellsworth paid me the greatest compliment that had ever been paid when he said, I was the last jockey he wanted to see riding Fragrant Dawn. Because he said, I knew you'd get a tune out of him. And he was racing over in the Triple and Gold Cup, and a lot of people didn't think he would stay, including David Ellsworth. And I put him to sleep in the race, and I said to Martin Pipe, just let me ride him how I think he's best ridden.
That's right.
And I put him to sleep at the back of the race, and at one point, Jim McGrath, the commentator, had said that Declan Murphy, I don't know if he knows that there's a race going on ahead of him. So far was I out of the race. And I got into the race and got up, put the horse in front halfway up the run, and then one going away.
Fantastic.
So it was one of my best rides, I think, as a jockey.
Wow. And I do believe this next horse is really close to your heart. Gale Again.
Well, Gale Again is very close to my heart in the sense that I won on him at Sandown. He was trained by Tommy Stack. If you like, Tommy Stack bookended my career as a jockey, as a professional jockey. He sent Gale Again to Sandown Park because the ground was too wet in Ireland, and I won on him at Sandown, and then he went to Cheltenham and he won the silver trophy at Cheltenham. And I think the run of Gale Again at Cheltenham, when I look at it and when I think about it, I think it's probably the best ride I could ever have given a horse.
Wow.
And the sad reality of that is, little would I know that it's the last horse that I would ride, because in my very next ride, my career would end, and I would almost end my life. So it's a strange sort of twist of fate, really, that I consider the last ride that I had to be the best ride. So it was something that was written in the stars. It was meant to happen.
Well, I spent a lot of these viewers watched our interview, our very first interview, which we went through your accident and everything else. We've hit nearly 4,000 views, and if they haven't seen it, I'll put it back up again. And we're so lucky that you're still here talking to us, basically.
Well, yes, and I'm absolutely delighted to join you, because I'm a great supporter of you know, the effort, the work that you do for the charities and things is phenomenal, Gary, and you could be applauded from the highest height.
Thank you, I really appreciate that, and I'm hoping, I'm starting off a 41 racecourse tour in January, but I will be at the Cheltenham Festival, mate, and I hope you'll come over. And
I will definitely make the effort to fly over, COVID allowing.
Yes, I know.
Join you on one of the courses for sure.
That'd be wonderful, Declan. Declan, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and me, the wife, and all our viewers wish you a very, very happy Christmas and a prosperous New Year, sir.
Gary, the pleasure has been all mine, and very happy Christmas to everybody. Good night. And
superstar. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, there we go, Declan Murphy.